everybody. Today we are welcomed by, we are joined, I should say, by the none other than the legend Crypto Blood, a voice of reason in this space, and a voice of always finding some strange little alpha gems around the place. Yeah, so welcome to the show, Crypto Blood. How are you?
Thanks, Joshua, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm on the other side now. I'm not interviewing you, you're interviewing me, so this is different.
See, I like to switch it up, man. I like to switch
Yeah,
it up. Yeah,
for
no, how have
sure.
you been? How's things? Enjoying the
Been
bull
good.
run?
Yeah, enjoying the bull run, of course. A little skeptical of some things, but
Yeah,
we touch 100,000.
yeah,
That was great. That was a monumental, as you know. You've been in the space even longer than I have. That was a very monumental and I don't know what other word I can use, but everyone back in the day was always thinking 100,000, 100,000, and a million. Those two
yeah.
psychological whole numbers were in our psyche forever. So amazing to see
Absolutely,
it.
man. It's though. So I'm hoping that what will happen now, we've reached that 100K and it'll dance around that for a while. I really don't want it to keep on going for now. I just want it to sort of settle and really feel comfortable at this price zone, and that paper hands kind of leave, and we're left with a whole bunch of diamonds holding this stuff at this price level. That way, I think we could see a nice bull run continuing on for well into 2025, and that's really what you want to see. It helps the industry. You know, all those people that talk about price doesn't matter. You know, Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It does matter because I've seen it in all my startups. As soon as there's a bear market, VCs are out, the money's out,
Exactly. This is
businesses.
one of the tougher industries to be in, as a business tech startup individual, because you are. I don't know any other industry where you're really tied to the price of that particular asset, right?
Yeah,
I guess in precious metals, if you're a miner, a junior or senior miner, I guess funding and VC activity would be tied to the price of gold or silver or any other precious metal.
yeah.
But other than that, I've not seen any. It's a tough industry to be in, to have a startup in, because it is really predicated on how well crypto is doing.
Absolutely. I've just adjusted my volume here because I realized I was way too loud compared to you. So sorry about that, folks at home. Um, yeah. So uh, first things first. Where what happened in your childhood uh, to to make you interested in this space? Because to fundamentally understand crypto, there has to be something where either a parent or somebody, uh, somebody senior, sort of got you to be interested in finance in general, or was it just purely something else?
It was just happenstance, Joshua, because of kind of my background leading up to 2013 when I discovered Bitcoin on a Zero Hedge article. I had software engineering background, so I was a computer scientist or studied that in college. I was a trader. I traded forex, and I had gone down the rabbit hole of, oh, the monetary system is not what we think it is. All of that cascaded from the '08 crisis. So those three elements really helped prepare me to find and be interested and be willing to try this technology called Bitcoin back in 2013. So those three elements really is what culminated and allowed me to jump head first.
Fantastic. And so, what did you just did somebody send you some Bitcoin, or did you just read an article and thought, oh, I'll join an exchange and try to trade that instead, being a day trader?
No, and no one around me knew anything about it. I saw the article that night. It was about 1 a.m. in the morning. I read the article and was like, "Whoa, this is it. This is the game changer." And I literally, Joshua, that night went out and purchased my first 5 Bitcoins.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. And and so there was nobody in your family that was like, how did you get to being a zero hedge reader? I mean, just that
So
is,
exactly. So the zero hedge element came from me seeing what happened in '08,
right.
right? So '08 occurred. The veil was lifted for many of us. It was kind of an awakening moment for many of us. At
Mm,
least for me, it was. I thought I had an understanding of the monetary system, and Wall Street, and all of that. I thought I did.
yeah.
But after '08, it really exposed a lot of their weaknesses and, I mean, lack of better word, uh, Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Uh,
interesting, isn't it? Because you, you had 2008, which for those that don't remember or have short memories, it was the global financial crisis, right?
right.
And then after that, you had the Occupy Wall Street movement,
Sure.
which, to me, it was a very messy movement. It was people that didn't understand what the hell they were talking about, as a whole. But you had these little seeds of crypto people coming in and talking about Bitcoin. And while the main group were a bunch of socialists demanding the end of capitalism and Wall Street, it was all Wall Street's fault, when really they should have been heading towards Washington because they are the ones that were allowing Wall Street to have this monopoly and stuff like that. But yeah, it's very
Exactly.
eye-opening, right?
Yeah, there were many layers to the '08 crisis, right? And as you stated, unfortunately, the less informed usually go to the least um, path of least resistance. So the path of least resistance for the less informed would be Wall Street. That's what they saw. That's what they, and that's understandable. But as you say, if you as you stated, Joshua, just going a layer lower, you would find that there you've got Wall Street, you've got um, you've got Washington and its legislation. Uh, you've got the other West. I was call it the secondary West would be London, right? And that financial hub and LIBOR, and we later found out that LIBOR was being rigged, and so there were so many moving components that made up this Ponzi scheme, and a lot of it, I would say, has to do with cheap money and low interest rates. It kind of all started there.
Yeah. And not much is talked about this and at all. I never hear people talk about this. And I think this is something that should be talked about is that the fact that all the liquidity in 2008 was locked up, but these banks, first of all, because it's this fractional reserve system, there was not enough liquidity anyway. But then lawmakers wanted to cut off liquidity or cut off bank account access to a lot of the Mexican cartels. And the Mexican cartels obviously work mostly in cash. So that was the cash that was the liquidity in the system. And so the Mexican cartel, a lot of them went, okay, we're going to cut you off. Now, all of a sudden, there's this liquidity crunch. The banks are struggling to move things because there's just not enough liquidity. Of course, who gets blamed? The poor that took out far too many uh, mortgages and then obviously that was a component of it. It's not like it wasn't, but we see movies like The Wolf of Wall Street and such that expose that side of it, but it's never really talked about that the liquidity side, that liquidity crunch really started by a lot of that liquidity being cut off. And there's only a few articles I read that really dove down that rabbit hole, which I found really fascinating.
Very interesting. I've actually never heard that angle. So
Yeah. Yeah,
I learned
and it
something
was
new.
always like, oh, the poor are to blame. That was the funniest thing. You got this massive system where the Federal Reserve prints money out of nowhere and has fractional reserve, rehypothecates to all hell. And then what do? They blame the poor for taking out mortgages they couldn't afford when they were being sold those mortgages in the first place. But
Crazy.
crazy, man, crazy. Yeah. So okay. So you were reading Zero Hedge and you found this article, and that day you went and just bought some Bitcoin and just started. Did you start straight away trading it, or were you trying to
No,
basically just
there
hodl and
weren't
learn more?
any. So I was able to fund my account or acquire my first few bitcoins through BitInstant, which was Charlie Shrim's
Yep.
company, and he
Nice.
was he had a connection with Mount Gox at that time. So um, my coins were credited to my Mount Gox account, and then I said, okay, well, let me download a wallet. And the only wallet they had at that point was that one, the Q. What was it called?
Yeah, Bitcoin
It wasn't a
QT.
QT.
Yeah,
Was it a QT wallet?
it was perfect,
Okay, so it
man.
was a QT wallet on
Yeah.
Android. I downloaded and sent my coins from Mount Gox to there, and then I just sat on them for a while. I didn't know what the hell to do with it. It was just like, okay,
Yeah.
this is strange. So
I'm not sure if the Android one was called QT, but the first Android wallet was made by a Berliner guy who I ended up being friends with, and he's also a very interesting chap. That was the first, yeah, Android
y-
wallet, and you had the
yeah, so it was
cutesy.
QT was for the desktop, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So yeah,
QT
whatever
was.
the one you're talking about is, it had to have been that one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was amazing because
And then
these
there was a
very
fork of
early
that, and it was
technologies.
Litecoin used it, Dogecoin used that same kind of a fork of that. I don't know if he
Yep.
made the Litecoin one and the Dogecoin
Probably not, no.
Light
But there
wallet.
was a lot of Berliners involved in Doge as well in the early days because they thought it was hilarious. I never
Mm-hmm.
understood it very well. I was just so Bitcoin focused at the time. But the sad story is a lot of those people had so many Doge, and then eventually they just dropped them all and went, "Ah, let's move on." And that's when
I was
Doge
one of them.
started to skyrocket. Oh,
Yeah, I
really?
was one of them.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I
oh
didn't
no.
know. None of us knew that Doge. And I have some wallets that I said one day I'm going to take the time to figure out what the hell the passcode to it is.
Yeah.
But I should have some decent amount of Doge in those wallets. But I was mining Doge heavily, like out the
Right
gate.
on.
Yeah, for sure, out the gate, I was mining Doge because I started my foray into mining was through Litecoin, and
Yep.
Litecoin was the same. Doge uses the same consensus model as Litecoin, and so when Doge came out, I just quite naturally moved over to that network because it was less difficulty. I could mine more coins.
Yep.
So yeah, I had a huge amount of Doge. I don't know. I had to find where all this Doge are, man. I have
That
no clue. Like it was just I don't know, man. It was just the wild wild west. We were just experimenting and having fun.
yeah. It's funny, like that psychology of the amounts of units um, is always fascinating to me. Like that Bitcoin, if you get 0.000001 Bitcoin, even though the dollar value is right, people want to get whole numbers. They want to get 1 or 10
Isn't
or
this
20
strange?
Doge, you know? And I find that really fascinating, a fascinating side of human psychology that they would rather get, it doesn't matter the dollar value. And that really goes to the inherent value of the token, right? You want a certain amount of tokens, you don't want fractions of it.
Yeah. And then, back then, I know you probably remember with Bitcoin, we started talking about microbits
Yeah.
and all those
And
Mac. What was
microbits,
it?
yeah. There was a
There were
big
a
war
couple.
for those that don't know between bits and sats. Like people wanted bits,
Correct.
which had the two decimal points, like dollars and cents. So
Mm-hmm.
it's two decimal points up from sats, which is the lowest denominator.
Yeah.
And people were like, it'll go past bits quick enough. Don't worry, just go straight to sats.
Right. Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So then you found Zero Hedge. You started trading. You had some Mount Gox. Did you end up pulling them off of Mount Gox? I hope so.
Yeah. I never lost anything on Mount Gox. I guess today we could say I could say unfortunately, because I could have
It was a good hodl
recouped the
strategy.
good huddle by mistake strategy. So yeah, I pulled them off because I started to notice some inconsistencies with Mount Gox.
Yeah,
Withdrawal requests became 12 hours, and then it started becoming 24 hours. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Then I see the
yeah,
price of Mount Gox Bitcoin spot price was, um, I want to say like $300 or $400 higher than every other exchange out there. So
yeah,
there was some, I'm wondering why hasn't this been arbitraged? And little did we know is because you could, it was a one way
Couldn't.
road. You can send in to Mount Gospel, but you couldn't send out.
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I got
yeah.
out of
That
there before.
I forgot about that. Yeah, the price difference started deviating a lot. Yeah,
A lot.
yeah, interesting. And then people built lots of stuff. Once it did go down, people built this. What was it? There was some scheme where you could sell your Gox coins to somebody else, and all in the
Mm.
back end, I was like, I don't trust this. This seems sketchy as well.
Yeah, it was
But
a wild, wild west for sure.
yeah. So we're talking about, not that that's funny, but what was some of the most funny memories that you have of this space, like strange or I guess McAfee for me always stood out as someone that was quite hilarious. Some of
Man.
these strange, characters we've had
Yeah,
in the space.
he was a character for sure. Um, my buddy Rice has interviewed him a few times on his show before he passed. But I BitConnect, that whole Ponzi
Yeah.
multi-level marketing. Remember that phase
Oh, yeah.
in like
That and OneCoin.
2017, 18?
Yeah.
That was funny. Prior to that, I don't recall anything that sticks out right now other than, the meme coins, the original
Yeah.
OG meme coins being created, Dogecoin being, the first that I recall.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
What's your pick nowadays of the of the means? Is it on a
Oh, the
daily?
memes.
Is it always changing or
Oh, that's a lottery ticket.
yeah,
There's no way, like I don't know, man. I know
I
they're gonna
know.
be around for sure, but it's just like there are too
Yeah.
many. You know.
That's it. That's it. It's I remember I did a video but it would have been 2011. It's still on YouTube somewhere. And it talks about the fact that in the future everyone will have a coin and
Mm-hmm.
the taxi driver will be having Uber coin and being paid in Uber shares almost, and if he wants, and then he can change it to Amazon and change it. Just sort of currency is everybody's different coins. But one of the things I thought there will always be some blue chip, solid blue chip tokens or
Yes.
coins, which have real value, and then there'll just be a circus of a billion meme, and I didn't call them meme coins at the time. It was just just coins, just dancing around, and basically, like you said, it's specifically that, just a lottery. You don't know what's going to pump because it's just market forces getting behind something all of a sudden and then dropping it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
the um commodit commoditization of currency. If that
yeah,
even if you get what I'm saying there, like
yeah,
they're gonna be the currencies are gonna be just a commodity. Everyone's gonna have one, and it's on you to or your small circle of influencers or communities to build the value of that coin. So
yeah.
I don't see a problem with it because
It,
it market forces will pick which ones will have more value and which ones won't have any or very little.
yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because really, these what meme coins point to is the fact that you can now profit off a societal trend. So you can profit
Hmm.
off a trend, or and being able to see those trends as soon as possible. But then there's this other level to it where you can profit from a trend, like let's say Trump. But the problem is
Hmm.
there's 100 different or more Trump coins. So
Sure.
which one of those is the one that the market's going to get behind? And usually,
Whichever team creates the most value.
right, or
It's
the
just
most
that
hype,
simple. Most hype,
which yeah, it turns into
which would in
yeah,
turn, which would translate into value.
yeah,
Um, uh, Maybe not permanent value, but it will translate into value. Your hype will translate into some value. Now, does that value stick? That's the bigger question, and ultimately, you would need more than hype to keep that value at that. certain price
Yeah.
or higher, you'll need something more intricate. But I'm for it, man. I don't think it waters down other cryptocurrencies. You know, you will hear people like Peter Schiff say, "Well, anyone can create another Bitcoin. You just go out there and create it." Well,
Yeah.
no shit, Sherlock. Duh. But no one is going to, no one's going to respect or want the Bitcoin 2.0. They're going to want
Yeah.
the original.
That's
So
right.
that's where the value is placed within the market.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's an interesting way of determining value of a concept too, because once let's say products or brands start having tokens rather than shares, because if
Hmm.
you think about the stock market, if you think about dividends, or I mean dividends kind of tie it is the only thing that really ties it something, the share, back to this, back to the actual value of the company. But as we all know, a lot of the time companies don't pay any dividends for years and years and years, if ever. So you've got this thing tracking what is perceived value in the company, but there's no real connection there between the company doing well and the stock price, because there's no dividends. There's nothing tying that to that, but it still tracks. So in the future, I can definitely see it being token, moving away from the stock market and more companies just releasing a token and saying, hey, this is Toyota token. This is the official Toyota token. We release it, I mean, I'm mentioning Toyota here, but this was definitely something with celebrities and celebrity tokens. And back in the day, Kanye had
Hmm.
Kanye token, and then he
A lot
sued
of
the
people
makers
don't
of them.
realize Kanye's first token, and it wasn't even created by him.
Yeah, in fact, he
And he
sued
sued.
them.
He sued them. Yeah,
Stupid.
he sued them. So you talk about funny, hilarious moments. I forgot about the Kanye coin back in the day. That
Yeah,
was hilarious.
yeah,
That was
it was
hilarious.
really good. It was so ahead
Yeah,
of
it
its
was good.
time.
Oh, ahead of its time by a long shot.
Yeah, yeah, and so people like Max Kaiser actually, even before Bitcoin started, before it was like 10 years before Bitcoin, and maybe not that long, but 5, 10 years. And how he made his early money was celebrity stock exchange, where you could trade
Yes.
in that. And there was a centralized thing, and I never used it,
He and I know both of them. I've had them both on my channel a couple of times, and Max Kaiser I know even closer because I had Max and Stacy come out to Detroit for their one of their stops. I had them come by and do their Max, what was it called, Bitcoin Rage tour or something like that they were doing. So they
nice.
came by and I welcomed them and everything. But yeah, uh, Brock Pierce
Yeah,
was also involved in, I think, the same thing you're talking about with the Hollywood shares or something like that. He was game
yep,
shares or something like that, coins or something. Hmm.
right on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's amazing. And so now I think more of these. But then the trouble is, if you have no idea about economic theory, uh,
Right.
that's on the on that side. Or if you have a team that actually want to scam people, and you see this play out right now with Haktua, right? You could say that maybe that team didn't know anything about economic theory, decided to sell 3% to the public and keep 97%, and then, or you could say that that was nefarious and they actually set out to scam everybody. I I somehow, I'm a bit of more of an optimist. I give the benefit of the doubt that she's a stupid 22-year-old idiot, or however old she is, a young girl. Um, maybe there was the people that were organizing the token with her knew a bit more and thought they could make a quick buck on her brand and stuff. I don't know. I'm not standing up for her or anything. I
Yeah,
literally don't know
I
anything
didn't know
about it,
the
but
details of that. So you're saying that they floated only 3% of the tokens and they kept the other 97%?
yeah. And then as soon as it
That's amazing.
skyrocketed, they dumped like
See,
crazy.
and so with the coin that I experimented with, that I launched, it was the other way around. We didn't
Yeah.
have much control over the supply. So
Right.
I wish I could have been in that position of holding 97% of the coin. That thing would have gone to $1 trillion market cap.
Right.
There's no
Yeah.
there's no reason for it. So to your point, I don't know if they understood the position that they were in,
Yeah.
good position they were in, because they held most of the treasury, the most of the
Mm.
supply. That thing could have really gone far, and they could have slowly um, exited,
Yeah.
the position
Yeah.
at a later price, way higher than where they
And that's
did.
the thing. Like I don't know all the details, but it seems to be like maybe what could have happened that they would have had pre-sales to like private VCs, and VCs are renowned for taking advantage. They don't care about the project. They're like, whoop, I'm 300% in the profit, sell now, and they just take their whole instead of putting in an investing contract or something that stops them from doing so. So maybe it wasn't the team, but maybe the team had sold to people that were ready to dump. All of this is the learning phase of the industry, but I think it's not
Should
going away.
should she be liable for that, Josh?
That's an
Do you think?
interesting question. I mean, I think people without liability, people will keep doing stuff like this because hey, easy money. The the thing is that she's already liable because her whole brand was hanging on a thread anyway. I mean, she got
Right. It was just a
famous
meme.
by it was a meme, and she got famous for what the spitting on a phallus. Like,
Right.
so it just a nonsense internet hype train that she managed to stop, and it was going by itself. It had its own velocity,
Right.
and she managed to stop it because of this. So already she's totally punished because her gravy train has come to a stop now.
So that's
And
what I mean. And that's why I asked you, do you think she should be held liable? I think not. I think the market forces will hold her liable for it in the long run,
yeah,
you
and
know?
and I feel sorry for people that lose their life savings, but honestly, you should never take financial advice from a 22-year-old that made a meme about spitting on a phallus. Like,
No.
what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't feel sorry for them. I do, but I don't, because uh, the best um, the best way to learn a lesson is to, go through a failure. So it
Yeah.
really actually helps sharpen the market, and the next time around, those individuals, the market will become smarter and smarter. I don't think we need an SEC type of
Ex-
agency to hover over quote unquote uninformed investors. I don't
No,
believe
we
in
need
that,
more people
because
like
ultimately,
yourself. We need more CoffeeZillas. We need, people that educate educate people. What does a scam
right,
look like? What does a
exactly,
good crypto project look like, and what to look
right.
out for?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I agree, and I just think that we don't need the SEC. We just
Yeah.
don't. They never. Help me if you know. U.S. SEC has never, from what I can understand, preemptively stopped something. Like,
No.
got ahead of it and stopped the scam before it got going. It's always after the fact. So how are you helping anyone if every time you find a company, sue a company, civilly, and then criminally, potentially, that case passed on to another agency for the criminal, it's always after the damage has been done. So who
Mm.
are you helping? You're not deterring it. If you're saying that we're a deterring factor, not necessarily. People continue to do these things. So what
Yeah.
is it? I don't understand.
Well, not only that, if you think about like the massive fines they've dished out to, like, let's say XRP and such, where's that money go? Has it go to victims of other crimes? I could
Right.
understand maybe, hey, we take money from criminals that have, like, whatever, done something against the law, and we distribute it back to victims of
That's a
these
good
criminals.
point. I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
Does the SEC redistribute their fines to the ones that were? I don't think they do that.
No, no, no,
That's
they don't.
crazy.
Yeah, it's just a pay up. We want a cut of your scam.
And they don't give
It's
you they don't give any of the victims any money back.
no,
I
nothing.
would have I would have the compassionate or have some compassion towards the SEC if that was their modus operandi. Like they even after the fact, like okay, they find these bad actors after the fact. They recoup some of the funds, so on and
Yeah.
so forth, and then they redistribute those to the victims.
Yeah.
Okay, at
Okay.
least you're doing
Makes
something, but
sense.
they don't do that.
Or put it into education, some
Right.
marketing about, hey, this is what to look out for, so you don't fall for scams that are copycats or whatever, because we can't possibly whack a mole forever. All we can
Correct.
do is teach you not to fall for it.
Now they do
Uh,
pay out whistleblowers.
do they?
Yes,
Yeah. Well, there you
I
go.
interviewed one. At the time, he was the biggest whistleblower for the SEC, CFTC, and another agency. Yeah, they paid him out $73 million.
What?
Yeah,
$73 million.
$73 million.
Was it a percentage?
I think so. That's how it goes. I'll have to
Yeah.
send you the interview once we get off. It's a very
That's
interesting interview.
wild.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
Wow.
paid 73 million
Damn. That's crazy. So it went from the victims to the whistleblower
to the snitches.
to
Right, the
the
snitches get
snitches.
the money.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, Crypto Blood, where are you off to next? What are your plans for 2025 with your channel, and what can people expect?
So good question. In 25, I will be starting an initiative here locally in the city of Detroit to facilitate and cultivate the culture of blockchain and AI. I think AI is even a bigger disruptor than blockchain. I
Yeah.
got the same feeling when I found and discovered Bitcoin. I got that same feeling when I discovered AI's, leapfrog progress a
Mm,
few years ago.
mm,
Um, about three, now almost 3.5 years ago, Josh, I did my first video on Chat GPT 2. I had been following it since Chat GPT 1,
wow.
but at the leapfrog advancements that were made between 1 and 2 made me say I need to do a video on this. And
Yeah.
I've been tracking it ever since. Now, of course, we're all using it, and it is growing exponentially. So I think it's important that people are aware of AI, and I think AI will actually enhance and create new consensus models
Mm,
for blockchain, or I should say, uh, distributed ledger technologies, because I think you're going to see AI create new DLTs that have nothing to do with blockchain and not even a hash graph. Like I think a lot of
yeah.
innovative techniques were going to come out of AI and blockchain in the near future. So I'm doing an initiative here in the city where getting IRL events going with
Yeah.
professionals and those who are interested in blockchain and AI to get together and learn and have speakers like you come out and things like that and visit the city.
Awesome.
It's growing. It's transforming here in Detroit. A lot of money has been placed here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The Motor City. The thing is that a lot of I'm still hearing this, and this was similar to crypto. A lot of people going, I've heard it. No shit. I can't believe people say this. They're like, you really believe this AI stuff? I think it's a fad. Like,
Wow.
what? You think it's a fad? Have you even used this stuff? How can you not be
No.
blown away by images being created, videos
Not
being
only am I
created?
blown away though, Josh, I'm scared. I'm a little scared.
Oh yeah,
You
and you
know.
should be.
So
People should be.
right. I
Yeah.
think people should be for
Yeah,
sure. So.
my big thing is earn money now, save it
Mhm.
now, because
Mhm.
we don't know what this economy is going to look like. It's going to be very. If you think it's hard to claw out of poverty now, um, it's going to get
So
harder.
there's I'll send you the interview. I'm sure you heard of Eric Weinstein,
Yeah.
okay, and his brother Brett,
Yes.
just highly intelligent, intellectual individuals. Well, Eric talked about on a podcast recently a concept that I never heard of. I can't even think of the name of it, but I can tell you what the concept of it is. he was saying that instead of UBI, we would use this particular concept in which people all got essentially like credits for the skills that they have or type of skill set they do. Let's say you're a programmer, a software engineer, you'll get X amount of software engineering credits, and it's similar to your carbon credits system.
Yeah.
So if a company wants to replace 40% of their workforce with AI programmers,
Hmm.
they couldn't just fire the existing human capital programmers. They would have to, or they could fire them, but they would have to basically buy those individuals in that pool of software engineers, buy the credits from them, and in doing that, those individuals get kickbacks
Oh, yeah, right.
passively from corporation X using less human capital. I think it's a brilliant idea. Is probably what will work, um, because yeah, we're going to have some type of buffer between the lack of or um, less need for human capital because of AI. It has
Yeah.
to be some buffer, and UBI just it is a solution, but it's not the proper solution in my opinion because it just makes people like like what am I supposed to do? Like if we all get the same amount, then it really doesn't do anything. It just shifts the demand or the price on on the curve, right? So if
Well,
everyone
not
gets an
only that.
additional $2,000 a month, then the
Yeah.
prices of your everyday goods and services just go up incrementally that much more to where that 2,000 means nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. And we saw this during COVID when you
Yes,
had these stimmy checks. Now
right,
look at the massive inflation we got just from
correct.
those two or three stimmy checks. I mean, it's insane. So people that think that will work. Not only that, you suddenly have a paymaster, and
That's
people
right.
in general will do anything to
That's
protect the
right.
paymaster.
That's the
So if the
danger.
paymaster says, "Oh, stop talking bad about us," otherwise you get cut off from your universal basic income,
That's the
which
biggest
feeds your
danger of
mouth.
UBI. Yep.
Yeah,
And so
that's the
this
biggest.
this concept eliminates that because the paymaster is not the government now. It is just the industry that you have your specific skill set in.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, these are the sorts of solutions that I think need to be talked about. Whether that's the right one or not, I'm not sure. But these are the experiments we can start running, especially in the crypto space, because it's voluntary, it's trackable. You can do things. You know, the reason why I'd be suspect of, like, for instance, a tax on technology or on robots, let's say, is, people have talked about, oh, we tax robots and we redistribute that. But the problem with that is, what are you going to tax the photocopier? You know, if you get a photocopy, I mean, that's effectively a robot. The photocopier took millions of jobs. Back before the photocopier was invented, there was thousands and thousands of students in warehouses retyping documents on typewriters for people. The photocopier Xerox came out, suddenly, and a whole industry was wiped out. And AI is doing the same with, call centers in India and all sorts of things now. But uh, interesting times, especially on a global scale. How would you, rush that out without a global government? And that's definitely something we don't want. So, yeah, it's uh, it's a fascinating time. Crypto Blood, thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you? Where can people keep up with what you're doing,
Yeah, I'm
and all
most
the rest of it?
active, Josh, on X. So definitely follow me on X at CryptoBlood underscore. The YouTube channel has been semi rebranded to the Red Nugent. So just type in the Red Nugent on YouTube and you can find that channel. And those are the most active places currently I kind of reside. So X, I
Nice.
love X. I can't. I'm so glad that Elon bought X.
Oh, how much?
It makes no
What
sense.
a breath of fresh air, right?
It
I
really
remember
is.
when Google, just before we go, Google, I used to type in like, "Hey, what's an alternative uh, health thing against, whatever XYZ
Correct.
symptoms?" And you come up with some old, like, wives' tales and stuff of, yeah, put some lemon juice or whatever. Now you can't find anything. And X
Mm-mm.
is the only place where you can go and you still find wacky ideas that,
Mm-hmm.
they might be full of shit, but then you'll see a whole bunch of people talking against it or for it, and you'll
That's
see the
right.
discussion and you find actual a marketplace of ideas instead of just this homogeny of
No,
nonsense.
Elon deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. I don't know
Yeah.
politically if he'll ever get one, but he deserves one for what he did.
Yeah.
He's done a lot even prior to acquiring X. Of course, like what is it called? SpaceX and
Yeah.
uh,
Tesla,
Tesla, and he's
boring.
done a lot, man. But that move with X was legendary.
Yeah. And
Legendary.
Swift. And Swift as
Yeah.
well. It was like, boom, hey guys, what do you think?
And
Should I
it's so
buy
the
Twitter?
irony of
Yes,
it though,
no.
Josh, is that remember he's like throwing it out there. I'm gonna buy X. I'm gonna buy X, right? And
Yeah.
then they held him to his word. He didn't actually want to buy it after they forced him to buy it.
It's insane, isn't
That's
it?
the
They forced
irony
him.
of it. They
Yeah.
forced him to buy it, thinking that they
Yeah.
were gonna like, oh, we got you. You say you're gonna buy it, and now you don't want to. We're gonna force
44
you to buy
billion.
it. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
What a saga.
Amazing. Yep.
Yeah, really is. Really is. Yeah. Hey, and finally, for those that are following us at the Standard, we are right now going through our audit of the stable core upgrade, which is basically the stable core technology that we've built basically solidifies the stable coin. And it's really, really amazing technology. Come and check us out. You can now collateralize your smart vaults with a whole bunch of assets. You can now earn a yield off that all trustlessly without giving up your private key. And you can borrow against
Yeah.
that for 0% interest. It's really
I'm
cool
excited.
stuff.
I'm excited about the standard. I've been following it, and we've been talking about it for 2 years now, I think. So
Yeah.
it's great to see the progress that you guys have been making. Some of the roadblocks you've overcome, and I can't wait to really get in there and use it myself.
Hey, thank you so much, man. It's been, it's one of those things like, yeah, we've been around for like 4 years now building this
Hmm.
thing. But it also shows people that, hey, we're not just here for the short term. We're actually building
Right.
infrastructure. So,
Because you could have done
and
a money grab when things were hot in 2022,
oh
21, and you
yeah,
could have
but
just jumped
it's
out
a
there.
yeah. Well, what's the point in that? We got to run real projects here. We got to make real value, and that's what's important. But check us out at thestandard.io to get the latest on that. The upgrade will be coming very very soon. We're 2 days away. We're going to upgrade. We've got a new release of the interface for the yield. So now you can see exactly where your position is and all of this really cool stuff. And never let go of your private keys. That's the most amazing part. Crypto Blood, thank you so much for spending time with us this morning where I am, this evening where you are. Wishing you and your family a healthy, wealthy, and wise Christmas and 2025.
Likewise. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. All right. There we go. Done.
Sweet.